Hello and welcome to Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. My name is Kelly and I'm a former wedding planner and blogger, and I'm obsessed with weddings. If you're planning a wedding in Ireland, you're in the right place. You're going to learn the tried and tested methods to planning your dream wedding without the added stress. Think of this as your one-stop shop for everything to do with planning your wedding in Ireland, with me, your new wedding planning bestie, and a cup of tea. This is Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. Well, hello, happy Wednesday and welcome to Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. Today's episode is a really fun one. We've got a special guest called Everita Kenny. She's an amazing wedding planner. She has just come out with a brand new book that has all the resources you need to plan your wedding and specifically your wedding day timeline. So today, what we're doing is we're chatting together about the wedding day timeline. I got some amazing questions from you guys on Instagram about what to do if you have a certain amount of bridesmaids that need to get their hair and makeup done. What time should you start getting ready if your ceremony is at a particular time and your venue is a certain distance away? So we covered all of that together. So I think you guys are going to enjoy this. What I would recommend is that you have pen and paper with you so that you can write down some notes, because Everita helps us to work our way from the end of the wedding all the way back. And if you haven't yet taken a look at the blog post that goes with this podcast episode, we'll put some more written details in there as well to help you work out the timeline for your day. Because as you know, every couple has a unique day. There's all kinds of special elements to the wedding that will be specific to you and might not fit into somebody else's timeline. So have a look at the blog post, get a pen and paper so that you can write some notes and piece together your own wedding timeline. And of course, if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. You can email me. My email address is kelly@weddingsonline.ie. But let's get started. I think you guys are going to like this. Well, hello, everybody. We've got Everita with us today. And today we're talking all about planning a wedding day timeline. And before we actually started recording, Everita and I were speaking through some of the different elements about the wedding day and the wedding timeline. And we started getting carried away by talking about it, and it got very exciting. So I know that you guys are going to enjoy this episode because there's so much to be shared. But before we get started, Everita, I would love for you to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Hi everyone. I'm Everita, and I call myself a wedding lover. I love weddings. I know so much about them, and I could talk about weddings all day, every day. I decorate weddings, I plan weddings, I design weddings, I consult weddings. I just wrote a book about all things weddings, all about your wedding planning, how to create your magical day, how to make your wedding day as perfect as you wanted it to be. And
That's so exciting. Okay, so you spoke about your book, and I think everybody wants to see it. So for those of us who are watching on YouTube, you'll be able to take a little peek at this book. So can you show us what it looks like?
the cover is like this.
Oh, I love
This is
that.
the first sample. Because this is the very first sample, there will be gold foiled letters wedding, and it will be just your wedding memory book. It has everything you need to plan a wedding. It has so many things. There's 18-month calendar, so you don't miss any appointments. There's checklists that you can color it in as you plan. And I have, we all are so stressed planning weddings, and there's no need to be. With my book, you won't be stressed. And because we like coloring and this mindful coloring, I made a design that you can color it in your wedding theme colors, just to make it more personal. And after all the planning, this book will be your ultimate wedding memory book. Do you know, like baby books, but just for the wedding?
I love
your own
that.
wedding memory book.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so for anybody
About it all day. Don't make me stop.
No, I know. I could talk about weddings all day too. And when I look at your book, I can see why you're excited. So, for anybody who is listening to the podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and maybe you can't see what it looks like, I'll describe it to you. It is a hardcover book. It is high quality. It's not some flimsy piece of paper. It's an amazing quality book. It's a ring-bounded book, and it's got beautiful fonts. I know Everita describes some of the designs on the inside that you can color in. It looks absolutely amazing, and I know that people are going to be excited to get their hands on this book to help them plan their wedding. And I know that you gave us a little peek of the wedding day timeline page as well, which is what we're going to be talking about, the wedding day timeline today. And so, if anybody would love to get their hands on your book, how can they do it, and when will it be available?
So I have a created website for my wedding planning and wedding decorating. That is at www.everitakennyweddings.com. And when it will be on sale, you will be able to buy it directly off my website, or you'll be able to get it on Instagram or my Facebook. And in Weddings Online, there will be a picture of it, and you can request it there too. At the moment, it's being printed. So I have learned that nothing happens as it should be. I was waiting for this copy for 3 weeks longer than I was told I would. So I was told 2 weeks, but I doubt that would happen. So I'm hoping that by the mid-September, I will have it ready to send to all of you guys who want to plan their wedding so easily, stress-free, and yeah.
Oh, well, that's amazing. What I will do is I will leave a link in the notes for this episode to where people can find you on your website. And so if they want to get in touch just to chat with you, if they want to find out about the book or your wedding planning services, they can get in touch. But why don't we get started? We've got some questions from people through Instagram, all about the wedding day timeline. And so the first question is from Kira. And so she says her ceremony is at 12:30. Her reception venue is a 30-minute drive from the ceremony venue. The dinner bell is at 4:45, speeches at 5 o'clock, and then dinner at 5:30. Is that too long to wait between arriving at the reception and then dinner being served? So I'll try recap that timeline. If you think about it, it's 12:30 is the ceremony beginning. So maybe guests will come at about 12. And then 5:30 is when dinner is being served. So Everita, do you have any advice? Do you think that that's too long to wait for people to eat? What do you think?
Personally, I think it's fine. I think 5.5 hours is not too long. But if Kira thought that it is too long for her or for her guests, then appetizers or little canapes at the reception wouldn't be a bad idea. People always appreciate if there are some sandwiches or some fruit skewers or scones or anything like that to come along with your drink, because in a lot of the people, they don't do both. They either eat or they have drink instead. So if you had that little bit of variety that they can do both for a little bit, if they were feeling a little bit peckish, then that would be a good option, how to make yourself be calmer, that your guests are not going to starve. Or you could do starters first and then speeches and then dinner. That is also a good option, because then it wouldn't be like, okay, we're going to have drinks now at the reception, then we're going to have speeches, then we're going to have dinner, then we're going to have like cake and dance and everything else. It's just, maybe sometimes it's better when you spread it all out. A little bit of that, a little bit of this. So if you have speeches now, and then when you have starters now, then you have speeches, and then you have main course, and then you have dessert or any other entertainment.
Okay. Oh, I like that. Okay.
I have seen in wedding. I have seen at the wedding that there's one speech before starters, then after starter another speech, and then after that speech there's main course, and then after that main course there's another speech. Because sometimes people get too fed up listening to speeches, especially if maybe microphone is not good, not working very great, or if the speech is too long, they kind of start drifted away and lose their interest in listening to it. So then if there's like one speech at a time, then I think it works very good as well.
Yeah. That's really good. Actually, funnily enough, that's what I did at my wedding, because I was the same. I didn't want to sit and listen to, 5 speeches at once. I wanted to be able to have a speech, eat something, have another speech. So that's amazing advice. I wanted to touch on something that you mentioned to me when we were talking before we started recording. You mentioned that you like to work backwards. So from the end of the wedding all the way back. How would you explain that to somebody who's trying to build their own wedding timeline?
So I think that works the best way, because you know exactly at what time you need to do what. So, for example, if you want to have your evening after meal at 10 o'clock, the usual sandwiches or wedges or goujons or whatever you're into. If you want to have that at 10 o'clock, then you want to have your first dance before that. So how long will you think will be enough time from your first dance to your evening meal? Or what time does your band want to start your first dance? So you need to take that into. So if your first dance is at 9 o'clock, then you want your evening guests arrive half an hour before your first dance, so they would see your first dance. So if your evening guests arrive at 8 o'clock or half past 8, what time do you want to have your cake cutting? So if guests arrive at half 8, then you want to cut your cake at 8 o'clock, and then you work this way up but backwards.
Yeah.
Because then you know that by that time we will have this done, and you will know that you won't be late, because you are aiming to be there for this o'clock.
Yes,
Does
that's
that make sense to you?
amazing. That makes perfect sense, and that is amazing. So, with that in mind, we had some questions from people about the first part of the day. So, before the ceremony even begins, there's the whole part where you're getting ready. So, Jessica says, my ceremony starts at 3 p.m. So, what time should I start getting ready? And so, as you and I would know, there are lots of things we need to know to answer that question. It's how many bridesmaids are there, and how many hairstylists, how many makeup artists, how far away is the ceremony venue from where you're getting ready. There are lots of things to think about. So when it comes to the wedding morning timeline and getting ready, what are some of the factors that people can think about? And can you help us with an idea of timing hair and makeup? Do you know roughly how long that takes for the bride or for the bridesmaids? What advice do you have with that?
So I started my wedding passion being a bridal makeup artist, and the bride's makeup would take 40 to 50 minutes to get it done. That would include all the touch-ups at the end, and just to make sure that she looks fantastic. She gets her makeup done after her hair is done. So while you get the bridesmaid's makeup would take about half an hour to get done. You need to clean up your brushes, clean up your kit. It would take about 5 minutes in between each bride. So if you have, for example, 6 bridesmaids and only one makeup artist and one hairstylist, then you need to think how complex hairdos do you have? Is it just a blow dry, or it's a full upstyle hair? Maybe ask your hairstylist how long would it take for her to do 6 bridesmaids hair, and then 6 bridesmaids makeup would be about 3 hours, adding another 25 minutes in the girls like to do toast, they like to talk, and so add another half an hour, so it would be 3.5 hours just for makeup for bridesmaids. And so then if it's another hour for your makeup, so it's 4.5 hours just to get your makeup ready. If you have hairstylists who works along, then in 4 hours you can have it done. But you really need to time this with your makeup artist and with your hairstylist, and then they can advise you what they think they could aim for. Or maybe they need to get the second makeup artist if there's a large group of girls to get ready to.
That's really, really helpful. I think for me, I had no idea how long it takes to get makeup done, because I think the average person, when we do our makeup just on a normal day, it doesn't take that long to get done. And so I think for people to remember, wedding makeup, even just for the bridesmaids, getting their makeup done, it's special. It's not rushed. It's not quick. It's a professional makeup artist who can do things faster than we can, but still takes their time to do it well. And then things like how long it takes to get dressed. In the morning on a normal day, it might take me 2 minutes to get dressed if I've decided in my head what the outfit will be. But to put a wedding dress on, the photographer will take pictures of that. You might have your maid of honor or your mother help you get into it or put the veil on. And it just all takes time. It's you don't just quickly slip the dress on and you're good to go. And so I guess, for people to remember that things take time and to have some periods of time between things, just a little bit of a margin, so you're not running from one activity to the next. So one more question about the morning side of things. Mo says she's got 6 bridesmaids and they all need to get hair and makeup done. Her ceremony is at 1:30. So will there be time for photos and a first look with her partner? How can she work that into the plan as well?
If there's a will, there's a way. Just get 2 makeup artists and 2 hairstylists, and then you can fit it in easily. Or you need to start really early. You don't want to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning at your wedding. You want to, I'm not suggesting you should have a lie-in, not 9 or 10, but I think 7, half 7 should be the earliest that bride should wake up, because it's a long day and you want to feel energetic and enjoy it at the most. You're not going to have it again. Hopefully you will never have to have it again. So I think if 6 bridesmaids, as we just talked, is about 4 hours, roughly. That's with disasters happening in between, tears or anything. So it's 4 hours. If 1 o'clock minus 4 hours is 8, no, 7.
7, yeah.
7. So if you want to have pictures done with your bridesmaids and with your fiance as a first look, then I think it would be just too early start if there was one makeup artist. So if you had 2 makeup artists, then it would be only 2 hours. 2 makeup artists and 2 hairstylists.
Yeah.
Then would be 2 hours. And then it would be a lot easier to manage.
That's really smart. That is a good way to do things. Double the suppliers, it means half the time. So that's really helpful. I think when it comes to piecing together the whole timeline for the day, my advice would be to work with your suppliers. So just like you've given us some advice on the timing for hair and makeup, I would say, with your ceremony, the best way to know how long it's going to be is to chat with your celebrant or your solemnizer. Talk to your photographer about how long it'll take to get the wedding photos taken, and talk to your caterer and venue about how long it takes to serve the meal. Those types of things. The suppliers are amazing at helping to give us an idea of the time. But what I would like to do is I'd like to end by reminding people that an amazing resource to put together their wedding day timeline is your book. So I'm going to put a link to your website in the comments, in the notes for this episode, and on our blog as well. And we'll put it on social media too, so people can make sure that they get their hands on your book, because it looks absolutely amazing. So Everita, thank you so much for joining us and for showing us your book and for giving us answers to all these amazing questions. And we'll definitely have you back on the podcast again.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for having me. I had so much fun. Finally, someone actually loved listening to me talk about weddings.
all the time. Well, thank you so much for listening today. Everita Kenny is our expert who was joining us today. Her book is out soon. I know you're going to like it. So you can take a look at the notes for this episode to find out how you can get in touch with Everita to get her book, to ask her questions, or to hire her as your wedding planner or day of coordinator. But thank you very much for listening. Don't forget that if you have any questions about planning a wedding that we can answer in our podcast, just email kelly@weddingsonline.ie, or you can go to weddingsonline.ie. You can scour through the blog and you can get inspired by real weddings and how-to wedding planning posts.